Okay, here I am coming into the City and Wood building where my exhibition is at the moment because I can. I've been at uni all day for group crits, listening to everybody's work, which has just been so interesting. And before I go home, I thought I'll take a quick trip down here and video this for anybody that's not going to get in to see it. Here we are, in through the doors of RGU. Nice big deck chair. This is where I did the talk for the opening night. Okay, so it's the end of the day. Everybody's going home. There are stairs there up the way to the library. And here I come. So it's just a little walk down past that big portrait. And here we are. It's so cool to see, even now for me to see it. Oh wow, lots of messages from people here. Here's my visitors book. So that's really cool. And here we are. Here's the exhibition. Here's my interpretation panel, the history of our family, how I traced our family. My brother Peter. My grandmother's next door neighbour, Doig. My grandmother's friend, Teresa Somkovich, with her mum and dad. She lives in Wales. Adam Adams, Holocaust survivor, he lives in London, and I love Adam. And Alicia Malamed Adams, also a Holocaust survivor and Adam's wife. Alicia is the cousin of my cousin Rena. And down here I have an interpretation panel with her and Adam. And then of course this photograph of my mum taken by my dad when he first knew her, when he was dating her, around the time that she met her parents. So who knows if mum actually had just seen her dad when this photo was taken. And here I am down here with my mum as a little baby. Moving on to that panel called Fragments That Remain. The next panel here is Descendants of Polish Soldiers. Here's Janusz Ral, who's helped me a lot historically. He helped me find, he interpreted my granddad's records from Warsaw, and has taught me a lot about Polish history. He lives not far from me, and he's just been a tremendous help. I couldn't have done all of this without him, not the Polish side. And here we have some of his father's original badges from his uniform. You see that there. Here we have Stanley Young with his daughter Patricia Stanisław-Szwabny. I took this photo when Stanley was 98. He came from the same place in Warsaw, in Poland, as my grandfather, Lwów, actually shared his birthday, 25th of April, although there was a big gap in age. My grandfather was born in 1903 and Stanley was born in 1919. So I went to Stanley's 100th birthday last year and photographed it, and sadly he died a few weeks after. But thankfully we had those photos. You know, that's where photography to me is so important. This is my little grandson, Luke, my oldest grandson, holding a photograph of my grandfather. So Luke's great-great-grandfather. The young generation with the older generation. I love this picture of Luke because he's just looking at me. I took it with him first thing in the morning, nobody else was up. And I put the camera on the tripod, let Luke play with it, take some photos of me, and then he let me take that. And there's the interpretation panel for my grandfather. Here's Ian Diger in his shop coat. His father was a Polish soldier, came to Fraserburgh at the end of the war and set up a shop in Fraserburgh, the newsagents. It's the second oldest family run business in the whole of Fraserburgh. And it was great meeting up with Ian. He invited other descendants of Polish soldiers in the area to his shop, and that's where I met them first. His father was in the German army. Like many of these, in fact all of these Polish soldiers, they'd been taken from their homes as young boys and eventually forced to fight in the Polish army. But he was captured by the Allies, brought to Britain, where he was given the opportunity to fight in the Polish army under British command, which he accepted. This family is the Gervais. Their father and grandfather, Jan Gervais, was captured as a young boy in Poland. He was 14, wartime Poland, and taken to fight in the German army. And I had a wonderful time with his daughters and his granddaughters. And there they are looking at their family history. Here is Nikki Wood. She loved her Polish grandfather, Jan Andrzej Gawryluk. There's lots of Gawryluks in Fraserburgh. And I asked all the people who took part in this project if they would show me a photograph of their loved one, of their father, or their grandfather. And Nikki couldn't find one. And then right at the last minute she remembered she had one in her purse. And this photo always moves me because Nikki loved her granddad so much, her daddy so much. She teared up when she showed me that photo. I don't think I can zoom in on it, but maybe I can. There he is. Okay, so now to the third section of this exhibition. Do you know my name? I called this. This exhibition came out of me asking questions about the Jewish people, what had happened to them after the Holocaust, what issues did they face today. And as a result of my engaging with my own past, I learned the story of a little girl, Hallel Yafa Ariel. Here she is. Came up on my news feed when she was murdered in Israel, aged 13. And I determined, that was in 2016, in June, and I determined that I wanted to do something. I wanted to write to her mum, Rena, and then I learned there were lots of these victims in Israel, thousands. So I thought I want to do something more than that. So with my friend Tammy Wise, also a mum of 9 children, we arranged to meet 9 different people to photograph and tell their stories. Here's Rena with her youngest daughter. This is Kay Wilson. You can find Kay's story online. Kay was attacked by Palestinian terrorists, 2 Palestinian men, and left for dead. But she managed to drag herself. She wanted to die somewhere else, and she managed to drag herself to safety, actually. Somebody rescued her. Her life was saved by an Arab doctor, and Kay does a tremendous amount to stop the Palestinian funding of terrorists, getting rewards for injuring, killing Jewish people. This is Arnold Roth. I love Arnold. His little daughter Malky was murdered in a restaurant bombing in Jerusalem in 2001. Here's Malky. Now I don't have time right now to finish going through all these stories, but everyone, this is Adva Bitton, her little girl, Adele, was injured, severely injured in a car crash after Adva's car was stoned by Palestinian rock throwers. She died of her injuries eventually 2 years later, but she was so severely injured. She was very, very badly brain damaged and required, real full-time care, but she that she lost her fight for life 2 years later. This is Steve Bloomberg. We loved Steve. He was the first person I met, paralysed when Palestinian Arabs attacked his car as he was driving his family home from shopping for some school items. And he was paralysed, his wife was killed, she was pregnant, and his daughter was also paralysed. Steve just has such a great outlook on life, such a great attitude, and does so much to help disabled people as well to fight for their rights. And here's Racheli Frankel. I love Racheli. Her son, Naftali, was kidnapped when he was 16 by terrorists, Hamas terrorists, dressed up as Jewish people, along with 2 other boys, and they were found dead just under 3 weeks later. I met Racheli in Aberdeen in Israel. She told me her story, and then I met her again in Scotland in August last year. And here is my journey, all the different things that I've done. And I decided to create a map based on the rail network in Israel. So there's that. And I've called it the road less travelled. It's at the road less travelled, and that made all the difference. And then finally, on the end, I have a slideshow running here, images I took in Israel, and also a portrait I had in the Scottish Portrait Awards of Ephraim Borowski, who's the director of the Scottish Council of Jews. So that's it. That's my exhibition. I'm glad I have a record of it, and thanks for watching it with me.